Morning, everyone. Welcome to Sacramento. For those of you who come in from out of town, and for those of you who are local, welcome to the convention center for what's going to be, I'm sure, a very exciting day and a couple of days of activity. I am very pleased to be here this morning because what you're doing is so important to what we do. At the Business, Transportation, and Housing Agency, as Ray was just telling you, we are a very large and diverse agency, and our fundamental charge is to both grow and sort of support the business community, and to do that with infrastructure, both transportation and housing. And so we regulate mortgage lenders and brokers and real estate agents, but also banks and credit unions. We do liquor licenses through the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control. We regulate HMOs and a number of other business industries, and then also oversee Caltrans, the Highway Patrol, the Office of Traffic Safety, the California Housing Finance Agency, and Housing Community Development. And then probably several other boards and commissions, travel and tourism, film, and a number of others. But the idea in California has always been that our first and foremost job is to support the business community and facilitate economic growth, and to do that with adequate infrastructure. And some of you may know that last year, those of you who follow these things closely, the governor signed Assembly Bill 1721, which formally charges us with the responsibility of being the lead economic development agency in the state of California. And so in many ways it codified what our historical charge has been, but it just underscores the importance of business and its relationship to transportation and housing. And so we're very happy to have that charge. And in this regard, our mission is your mission, or as I say, your mission is our mission, because housing is very central to what we do, not just because it's a key part of our state's infrastructure and our economy, but it's what we hear about from major employers who are working on workforce retention and recruitment. People want to know that they can attract top talent to come here to California. They can afford a great house at a great price and in a great location in the state. And so what you're doing is very central to what we do, and I welcome you to, or in that effort. This is why we are wanting to work so closely with you this year, not just to stabilize the current housing market, but to actually see more building in California. And I know that you are very well aware that there's so much to be done. The continued housing slump has cost the state a number of jobs, not just indirectly in real estate and housing, but a number of the industries that are closely connected to what you do. And the job losses continue to be disappointing here in California. Home prices continue to slide around the state. And with all of the talk that we hear about the subprime issue and the foreclosure crisis that we have, I think it's easy for people to forget that we still have a very significant deficit of supply in housing in California, and that once we have a correction in the market and we deal with the subprime crisis, of course, people are going to then turn back and say, well, wait a minute, we still don't have enough housing in California. And so we're very much aware that's a reality that we continue to deal with today and continue to face today. And so it's also why we want to be very supportive of all the efforts that you are putting forward, because housing is, as I say, as critical, if not more so, than even our transportation system. So that's a message that we hope you will carry forward in all of your discussions today, here in this building, but also with all of your legislative contacts and communications. We want you to continue to sound that theme, to let people know how important it is that we not just deal with the subprime crisis, but also continue to focus on the importance of building in California. For our part, we are moving forward, even in this year of dire fiscal straits. The beauty of my job is that I run an agency that's funded almost entirely with special fund dollars and some of the large bond programs that were enacted in 2006. And so while most of my other colleagues in the administration are subject to the governor's order to cut as much as 10%, in some cases more, from these budgets, we are, for all intents and purposes, moving straight ahead and going forward and making substantial investments in infrastructure, both on the transportation and housing side. On transportation, I'm pleased to see many of you may know about the Proposition 1B. It was about a $20 billion transportation bond passed by the voters in 2006. And just last week, the Transportation Commission allocated another $2 billion of those 1B dollars for goods movement purposes. And so that brings us now, we have about $11 billion of that $19.9 billion that's been programmed and getting out on the street today. And so we're proud of the progress we've been making there. But interestingly, just as we see on the transportation side, when we look at housing, we see a similar problem. That is that we have too many needs chasing too few dollars. And I'm sure that doesn't surprise you very much, but I thought I would share with you just some of the latest numbers from the major programs that we are attempting to fund at this point. We have our multifamily housing program that's mainly rental housing, and just to give you an idea, we currently have $70 million available for allocation of that program, and we have requests pending of $193 million. The Community Development Block Grant Program, which the state operates the portion that goes directly to smaller jurisdictions, we have $30 million available and $97 million in requests currently pending. Transit-oriented development, many of you have, I know, have followed that program closely. We currently have $95 million available for that program and $544 million in requests that are pending. And then the big one that we just finished on, there are guidelines on the infill program, which I've talked to many of you about. $240 million available this year, and we got $1 billion in requests. So what you see in all of those programs is you see, the huge volume of dollars that are chasing the very small pots of money, and that just underscores the significant challenge that we have in California, both from a resource standpoint, but also the significant need that we have to get up to speed and to catch up on the housing side. And so we are hoping by June 30th to have the dollars that I just alluded to that are currently available. We want to try and get those out and allocated by June 30th if we can under those programs. And then we'll have a subsequent second and maybe third round of funding that we'll be providing later in this year. And we'll also be moving forward on the innovation program. It's a $100 million program that was passed as part of Proposition 1C. The legislature last year passed a bill that provided some implementation or guidance on how it should be implemented. $100 million program, and we'll be working with many of you later this year as we just start to set about getting our stakeholder meetings together to develop the guidelines that will apply to that program. And so, again, we are doing all that we can on the state of California side to provide as much funding that's available around the state to support building. And then, of course, as Bob and Tim and others continue to remind me, we have many legislative issues to be addressed this year. And I know that there's a number of big issues that you are interested in as an industry, and we've talked with your leadership a fair amount about looking at the possibility of extending the subdivision land maps, and also trying to get some relief, at least temporary relief, on mitigation fees and things of that nature.